all eyes on what really comes out of what's being billed as a big summit between Prime Minister Modi and US President Barack Obama. But how realistic should our expectations be? Is this going to be as big an event as it's being made out to be? We've got a foreign policy expert joining in on the show this evening, and we're going to continue this series through this week, covering all aspects of this big story, from what corporate India wants to what economists and thought leaders want. WPS Sidhu, senior fellow at Brookings India, joins in with his perspective. Mr. Sidhu, in your sense, why is this visit being billed as such a big one, especially compared to the ones in the past of other Indian prime ministers? Is there more substance that one can expect, given the nature of Modi's engagement so far and the kind of mandate that he has, the political capital that he's had? Do you think he'll be able to engage with the US in a more direct sort of a manner? What do you attribute this excitement and euphoria to?
You've put your finger very much on the pulse. I would probably say all of the above. But let me go through them one by one and very quickly as well. We all remember the very dramatic visit of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in 2009, soon after President Obama took office. And this was really the first state dinner, it was the big coming out party, and that was really all about style. There was more discussion on the menu, the venue, and the guests. There was hardly any focus on what was the substance. Here, as you know, there's going to be much more focus on what the deliverables are going to be. Partly this is the nature of Prime Minister Modi's personality, partly it's the driver of where the relationship is between the two countries, and also the fact that, you know, he's probably going to be fasting while he's in the US. So I think substance is certainly going to take more sort of priority over style, and certainly over the menu which is going to be served. In addition, you're absolutely right. He also has this incredible mandate which no other prime minister since Rajiv Gandhi has had. So he really speaks from a very strong position domestically, and is very much looking for deliverables and a common interest between India and the United States.
It's also very certain that Prime Minister Modi wants to formulate his own foreign policy. He's worked rather actively towards it, engaging very actively with both China and Japan here in the Far East. Do you expect the Obama administration to take to this growing bonhomie in this part of Asia kindly?
Well, I think the signs are very positive. And again, the one interesting characteristic about Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy is that it's really being led by deeds rather than words. So if you look, for example, at the Independence Day speech, there was almost no reference to foreign policy. Similarly, even in the president's speech, there's only a passing reference to foreign policy. And yet, he's probably been one of the most active Indian prime ministers in the foreign policy realm in the first 4 months of his government, which is remarkable. So I think you're absolutely right in saying that he's very much got an agenda, and he's following that agenda very meticulously. The one advantage he has is he's not letting himself get distracted by other events in different parts of the world, which also do, by the way, affect India, be they in the immediate neighborhood, be it in Iraq, be it in Ukraine. He's basically trying to insulate and protect his foreign policy agenda from these external challenges and externalities. And I think that's why he's got a much better command of the agenda.
Before we move any further, I want to step back and just talk about something personal that may play on his mind, because not too long back, he was actually denied a US visa for his alleged tainted past. Do you expect that to overshadow his visit at all, at any sphere?
Well, I think at the official level, both sides have very consciously decided to move beyond that particular issue. And I don't think it'll get mentioned at all at the official level. Now, he's visiting a democracy with a very vibrant civil society. Will there be protests? Perhaps. But that is to be expected in any kind of civil society. But that is not the official position. I think officially both countries have decided to put that past behind them and move on and look ahead.
Mr. Sidhu, let you have the last word. What are the key challenges? What could come in the way of all this bonhomie India stance at the WTO, the whole debate over the intellectual property rights? What are the key challenges that you foresee in this relationship?
Well, the deal, certainly the WTO stance could be a deal breaker, because there's a possibility that India may actually be isolated in its stance and position. So I think it's really in the interest of India and the United States to try and work out a common understanding, if not agreement, which may not quite be possible, to see how they want to move this forward, because this will have repercussions well beyond India and the US, and also implications for broad international trade. So I think that's one area that they really need to focus on. The IPR issue again is, that cuts across very many different levels. The Congress is involved, also US corporates are involved, and I think there India will probably have to work a little bit more, and you can already see this government trying to take some steps in that direction by trying to set up, what is India's position on intellectual property rights and how it's going to protect those. But it's one thing to set up policy, quite a different to implement them. So I think that's going to be a big challenge going forward.